What's up? How's it going, everybody? My name is Wolverine, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new video showcasing all of the customs that we have done for the Jim Lee X-Men designs from the 1990s. So obviously, if you're like me and you grew up with those particular designs and those renditions of the X-Men from that X-Men animated series as kind of your favorite iteration of the X-Men, you're going to definitely enjoy this video. Now, of course, in addition to that, don't forget to leave a like on the video. That really does help out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. And then in addition to that, I wanted to go on ahead and ask you guys, what is your personal favorite design out of the ones that we're going to showcase? So again, to clarify, this doesn't mean that this has to be a character that you think is cooler. Like, for example, most people probably will pick Wolverine as their favorite X-Man. You need to pick which design you think we did the best job with and which one actually looks the coolest. So let's kick things off with the one and only. It is Nightcrawler, which I guess this is kind of the opposite of saving the best for last, because I honestly think that this is probably the best design that we have out of the entire bunch. It's just ended up turning out so freaking cool. I'm really happy with the way that we managed to put together this particular character, and I think that he turned out really quite awesome. So let me know if you guys agree, disagree in the comment section below. From there, let's go on ahead and bring up our character selection screen, and let's start looking at the other characters. We have the one, the only. He is, of course, the most popular X-Men character by far. This is Wolverine. And yes, the initial design for this guy looked a little bit cooler when we went with the blue and gold or blue and yellow design, because I think that that just looks cooler. That color combination worked better. But a lot of you guys pointed out and told me, like, hey, the Jim Lee Wolverine actually wore the brown costume, which I'm not a fan of. But for the sake of being accurate with the design, we did adjust the costume to be the brown costume. Wolverine had a little bit of issues with matching the hip piece to be correct, so that was a bit of a bummer. But outside of that, still a really cool design, still a cool take on the character. Of course, we went with the unmasked version, but you could go on ahead and adjust him if you'd like to make the masked version available to you as well by picking one of the many helmets that are available in this game as well. And of course, this is also an awesome way to include a bunch of Marvel characters in a DC video game, which is super cool. Then we transition to my personal second favorite character design that we've done, and that is the one and only, whoops, okay, wrong power up, sorry, the one and only Cyclops, with his laser vision available as well. He was kind of difficult to put together just due to the fact of trying to get that visor look to look somewhat correct to what we see in the actual comics, but I think we knocked it out of the park. All things considered, we have a pretty cool take on Cyclops, yeah, that's a word, on Cyclops here, and I think that he turned out very cool overall. So from there, let's go on ahead and transition to our one and only villain that we've assembled, and many of you guys possibly would like to see maybe Professor Xavier instead of this guy. So if we do that, we'll try to do our best to design him. Of course, the problem is that for Professor Xavier, you would need to include the hover chair that he usually would be in, and there's no way to do that. So because of that, I felt like it would not be really a fair way to build that character. We would miss out on one of the key aspects of that character. But we did do a pretty good job with Magneto, who did turn out quite menacing and very epic. I think that all things considered, we have a pretty cool take here on the character, from the details of having kind of the showcase of his magnetic powers on the hands. I think that looks really cool. And then the helmet actually did turn out really cool as well. And we went with a cool design for the cape, where we went with like a darker color on the inside and the brighter purple on the outside, so that it has a nice contrast and a cool effect going on. Okay, from there we transition to the character that, going into building this character, I thought it would be very easy, because I just thought, like, how difficult could it really be to build a character like Beast? But it turns out that the answer is very difficult, because Beast is not a particularly simple character to put together. So he was definitely quite tough to nail and try to get the whole idea and the whole concept of like fur on the character, because again, you're dealing with a plastic character, right? That's what a Lego figure is. So it turns out to be a lot more challenging than it would seem, but I still think we did a decent job. We have kind of a different claw design than that of Wolverine, so that's kind of neat as well, and makes him look unique when compared to the rest of the team. Then we have another character that I'm super happy with how she turned out. This is, of course, the epically awesome Storm. We have the cool two-tone design for the cape. We have the lightning or electricity on the hands, which looks cool. I thought we had removed that effect. Maybe not, I guess. I should have, I don't know why. Maybe it didn't save the color adjustment, but that's supposed to be a lightning effect instead, and we do have the flying ability for her as well, just like we did for Magneto, since that is fitting for the flying characters. But there is Storm, looking very, very epic, and yes, we did go for the white costume because that was the version of her that Jim Lee would draw. But again, you could go with like the black costume if you want instead, and then also I guess you could go for the Mohawk Storm as well. So that's another variation that you could adjust this character to fit better to whatever version of Storm you like best. Okay, so next up we have Gambit, who actually surprisingly many of you guys thought turned out amazing. I honestly did not think he turned out all that great, but many of you guys really like this design, so I'm happy that you guys think that it turned out cool. So that is fantastic, and there he is, looking pretty epic, with of course the staff as well as the purple effects to indicate his ability to charge his cards when he throws them and power them up that way. Okay, next up, whom do we have? We have Archangel, of course, which again was a design that was very difficult, similar to Beast. Going into the design, I thought, he should be pretty simplistic. There's really not much to his costume, but then when we started to build him, it did turn out to be very challenging, just due to the fact that he's got so many little nuanced elements to the character design that it becomes very difficult to try to replicate. But I think we did a pretty good job, all things considered, and we did manage to capture most of the elements that you would think of when you think of Archangel on the X-Men Jim Lee team. Next up, we've got Colossus, who did turn out epic. I actually think Colossus is awesome. I think that the only thing that could make this particular design better, it would be if we could make the figure bigger. Unfortunately, the game doesn't allow you to make big figs. Yes, you could size up a character, meaning like you could make him grow in size and become ginormous and tall, but that doesn't really fit because he's not supposed to be that tall. It would be ideal, basically. Here, let me try to explain what I mean here by just simply switching to a big fig. So if we could take a character like, for example, like Mogul here, and we could just re-customize him, that would be like the perfect size for Colossus. So that would have been awesome if there was a way to do that. Unfortunately, there isn't in the game, so we had to work around that. Now, next up, we have the wonderfully, epically awesome Jean Grey, which I think that she's probably the second best design that we've done after Nightcrawler. I think that she turned out really cool. Wolverine is probably, like I mentioned, third. He's definitely up there as well. But man, oh man, this design just turned out so cool. I really am glad that we were able to capture the vast majority of the elements that you would think of for this character. We have her powers being showcased as well, and the costume itself looks pretty accurate. So that is Jean Grey, or Phoenix, now assembled as well. Then we have the one, the only Iceman, who was one of the most simplistic designs to assemble. I did try to give him kind of that glide ability that he would have using the ice that he would generate. You know how he would always like create like a slide that he could glide down. So we tried to capture that look in this particular character. It wasn't easy, but I think we did a pretty good job, all things considered. It's a very simple design, so there really isn't much to mess up with this guy. So because of that, he turned out to be quite easy and simple to build. Next up, we have, or last up, I should say, the last character to be showcased here is, of course, Rogue. So yet another fantastic member of the X-Men team showcased, and I think we knocked this one out of the park. I think that this one is a job well done overall. We captured all the elements that you would want, except for that iconic, like, white hair that she has. Like, a little bit of her hair has that white in it. Unfortunately, we couldn't really incorporate that into the design, but outside of that, I think we did a pretty excellent job with this particular character. So there you guys have it. That is 12 X-Men characters all added into Lego DC Supervillains. There are individual videos where we showcase how to build these characters, so I'll link those in the description box below. You guys can grab those and check them out. And of course, using those videos, you can recreate these characters, or heck, maybe even improve on them. If you do that, don't forget to share those on Instagram or Twitter. Tag the Blitzwinger page. Definitely would love to see what you guys managed to come up with. And of course, in addition to that, don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, turn on your notifications by hitting that bell button, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.